start with the prayer.
Sahana bhavatu, Sahanau bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
So any questions from last week? We completed the first topic of chapter 1. So anything not clear you want me to explain? Okay, so let's start with topic number 2, managing. So in your book, it should be on page number 17, 1-7. Veera, can you read the first paragraph?
Managing. The body per se cannot act. The actions of the body emanate from one's mind and intellect. The mind and intellect constitute the managing agency which drives the body to act. Together, they become the propelling force in all activities. The body no doubt executes actions, but the actions of the body are driven by either the likes and dislikes, feelings and emotions of the mind, or the reason, discretion, judgment of the intellect. Examine these two possibilities arising from a single action. Offer a sweet to a diabetic person who is fond of sweets. His mind craves for it, while his intellect understands he is forbidden to eat it. When his intellect is stronger than the mind, it directs the body to abstain from it. If, on the contrary, his mind is strong and intellect weak, he would consume it and suffer the consequences thereof.
Perfect. See, all of you are familiar with this concept, but in case somebody is new, your life is nothing but how your intellect manages your mind. It's very simple to explain and understand as a concept. What's the big deal? But if you apply this, if anybody applies this in his or her life, your life is made. And it's not easy. Why it's not easy? Because intellect is weak in 99.99% of the cases. Swamiji says 100%, I will say 99.99%. That doesn't mean he's wrong. His vision is totally different. And why intellect is weak? Because there is no awareness that we have this faculty in us called intellect or buddhi. And there is no education, there is no program anywhere to strengthen our intellect. So that's the reason we are victimized by our mind, number one. Number two, so we often say in this class that as a human being, you have a choice of action. We heard this 10 times, 100 times. So what is that choice of action? The choice of action is in any decision making, from small to complex. It is intellect which should decide the course of action with logic, reason, and clarity. And if you do it right from your young age, let's say you're like 14, 15, 16, from that age, every decision, every facet of your life is backed by logic and reason. That's the choice of action we are talking about. You will be on a different pedestal altogether. I'm not talking about spiritual growth. Of course, the same formula applies in spiritual growth, but the way you manage your education, the way you manage yourself, your emotions, the way you manage your career, the way you manage your finances, so every aspect of your life. So, what is that which gives you that capacity to choose the course of action? No other creature has that. They act on impulses and there is no intellect. But when it comes to us, we also have impulses, likes and dislikes, wants and wishes. If it is not managed by your intellect, you will meet with disastrous consequences in many cases. Or why our life is not smooth. How many of us can claim, especially when we were teenagers, it is easy to understand. And in good many cases, personality completely derails. I mean, I can give you 10 examples. You can give me 10 examples. So what derails your personality is your mind. Why it happens? Intellect is weak. So same thing is happening even now as an adult. Maximum sale of antidepressants in the world is in America. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Why do you need antidepressant? When your mind overpowers the intellect. That does not mean you don't take it. Somebody may say, you're against, if you need it, you need it. But by popping in, let's say, Tylenol, the disease is not going to go. Even this morning I took, because I am nursing my shoulder, there's a frozen shoulder. So there was a lot of pain, So what is it that doctor, ibuprofen they give you, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is it called? Morphine. Yeah. So my doctor told me to take 2 or 3, but that is not going to cure my frozen shoulder. For that every day I have to be consistent, doing my exercise. So why are you disturbed? As a human being, we have a capacity not to be disturbed at all under any circumstances. That's our potential. Nobody is denied that potential. But then why are we not experiencing that? Why we go through mental agitations whenever we go through? Why our life, there are so many accidents in a relationship? One could be divorced 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Now, all these things are happening on day-to-day basis. It's not just a theory. So we can go on multiplying millions of examples. But the theorem is very straightforward. When your mind overpowers your intellect, your personality derails. So he's giving that example of a diabetic patient. So it's very simple to understand. Master that example and apply that in any facet of your life. So if you offer a sweet to a diabetic patient, what happens to him internally? Assuming he's got a sweet tooth. So you offer him a sweet, you offer him a donut, you offer him candy, you offer him whatever. What happens to him or her internally? We're not saying it is wrong. It's natural. If you're fond of sweet, somebody offers you a sweet, what happens?
I get high sugar. And
No, you feel like eating it.
Excited.
Your mind naturally goes towards it. And then we're not saying it is wrong because you have a desire. But if you have a powerful intellect, you can override that desire for a sweet. No, it's not good for me. But if I eat that sweet, my sugar will rise or whatever, I may get into trouble. So you need a powerful intellect to do that. But if your intellect is weak, what happens? Straightforward question. If your intellect is weak, somebody offers you a sweet, you're a diabetic, you eat that sweet, what will happen?
It will get worse.
You will have to face the consequences, right? So when you face the consequences, it is result of what? This is what you have to understand.
Poor intellect.
Are my stars bad? Somebody has cursed me? Or gods and angels are conspiring against me? What is it?
Weak intellect.
And
Correct.
strong mind.
My own actions.
My own action. Excellent. So my own action is responsible for whatever happens when I eat sweet, when I'm diabetic. Nobody is responsible for the consequences I'm facing. In this case, negative consequences. Now you apply this formula in whatever you do in life. If you take a sample of 10 actions which you did yesterday, just to educate ourselves, how many actions were backed by the intellect? How many actions were impulsive? You acted without thinking. At home, at work, just take stock. Don't do it right now. So you will know what we are discussing. So, in fact, the whole next chapter is talking about that, but I'm just trying to get the discussion going. And another example we always give in this context, in fact, it's Swamiji's very favorite example. Mind is compared to a flow of river, and intellect is compared to the banks. We all know that example. So, if whatever direction the banks turn, that is the direction of the river. But if banks of the river are weak, what will happen? Simple concept. If the banks are weak,
Overflow.
Flooding.
there will be flooding. So the water which is supposed to be a blessing, what will happen?
Curse.
Water is supposed to be a blessing. What will happen if banks are weak?
Be a curse.
That's a curse. It's a curse for us.
There'll be flood. There'll be disaster, right? You inundate the fields. So similarly, mind is a beautiful entity. Emotions, whatever emotions you have, love, compassion, what? It's not that you have to crush your mind. You cannot. First of all, it has to be channelized. For example, parents, they have wonderful emotions towards their children. I mean, it's a good thing. But if that emotion is not supervised, what happens? What is happening in every other house? You don't have to answer. It's a secret which everybody knows. You have wonderful emotions towards your partner. How can you not have? If you don't have, then you're a stone. Why are you in a relationship? But when your emotions overpower your intellect, what happens? Practical example I want. When your emotions overpower your intellect in a relationship, your own relationship, not your friend's relationship, your own relationship, in a partner whom you love.
Mental agitation.
Mhm. No, you're right, but something else.
We don't use our intellect in day-to-day life with our partners, and usually our decisions are emotion and mind-based, and leads to a lot of times conflict and confrontation.
It leads to conflicts and confrontations, which ends in what?
Breakdown in a relationship.
Yeah, excellent. Which you don't want. You don't get into a relationship to break it down. You are in a relationship, you have a spouse for what? Because you want to have a good time. It's a beautiful institution if you know how to relate to it. So 60-70% divorce rate in America. Reason? See, we can go on multiplying examples. It comes down to only one. There's only one cause. What is that one cause?
Weak intellect.
A weak intellect. Your mind is overpowering your intellect. So as long as you get the message, concept is clear, you apply it in any facet of life. So that's what he's telling us. So the whole thing boils down to making our intellect strong. So the next chapter is talking about that. So don't worry. And then as your mind starts overpowering your intellect, or to the extent, see, it's not that one fine day you lose your intellect 100%. It doesn't happen like that. Gradually, there's a gradual deterioration of your intellect. So what happens, number one, and what are the consequences of that in your life? So that's the next paragraph all about.
The intellect, therefore, must govern and guide the mind at all times. An unattended mind could become unstable and gradually lose its sanity. When the impulses, feelings of the mind drive actions without the guidance of the intellect, then such actions would be impulsive. And when the intellect controls and directs the mind to act, then those actions would be discriminative. Discriminative actions determine the sanity of the person. As impulsive actions displace discriminative actions, he would gradually lose his sanity. The figure shows the loss of intellectual application resulting in the deterioration of human being.
Yeah. So you need to understand the main point here. What's the main point here? Don't jump to the next paragraph. What is he telling us here? There's only one point here. There are no 2 points. What is that one point?
Intellect must govern the mind.
So when intellect governs the mind all the time, such actions are called as
Discriminative.
discriminatory action, actions based on logic and reason. When intellect is not involved in your actions, actions are propelled by mind alone, by impulses, by likes and dislikes, by whims and fancies. Such actions are called as,
Impulsive.
is there in the book,
Impulsive.
impulsive actions. Do you get it? So what makes action impulsive?
When the mind makes the decision.
When mind makes the decision. What makes action discriminative? Any action.
When you utilize the intellect.
When you realize the intellect. Excellent. So that's what he's going to explain. So if you use intellect at all times, such a person is called as a sane person. When person does not use his intellect at all, 0% intellect, such a person is called as insane person. That is a state of insanity. What is that insanity? They have lost their intellect completely. That's the state. And then there are you and me in between. None of us can claim we are sane, right? And then why do we need this book? We are above this knowledge. Also, none of us can say we are insane. Yeah, there is some amount of insanity in all of us. If you understand that by analysis, accept it. There is nothing wrong. Otherwise, somebody may say, no, insanity does not apply to me. I will prove it to you to your own satisfaction. Good many of us are insane good many times. So that's the analysis all about. Yes, sir. Continue.
When a person's intellect supervises and guides every impulse and emotion of his mind, his actions would be 100% discriminative and 0% impulsive, as in position A. He is then a perfectly sane person. As his intellectual supervision and guidance falls to 75%, so would his discriminative actions, and his impulsive actions rise to 25%. This ratio renders him an emotional person, as in position B. With a further loss of intellectual application and the ratio striking 50%, 50-50, he becomes eccentric, as in C. With only 25% of his actions covered by his intellect and 75% taken over by the mind, he turns hysterical, as in D. At the last position E, when his intellect is absent, his actions totally impulsive and non-discriminative, he becomes insane. A careful scrutiny of the world would reveal that most human beings range between emotional and eccentric. It is an appreciable loss of the intellect which no human can afford.
Perfect. So, who is a sane person who uses his intellect at all times? So, mind, emotions of the mind, impulses of the minds are completely under the control of the intellect. As you start losing your intellect, or as your mind starts taking over, the first sign is you become emotional. So 25% intellect is lost. You can see in the book. 25% of the actions are impulsive, 75% of the actions are based on discrimination. So it's a good loss of your intellect that you start acting on impulses or you start acting on your emotions. You succumb to your emotions. You're affected by your emotions. One and the same thing. Then as you lose your intellect further, such a person is called as eccentric person. It's quite straightforward. Who is an eccentric person? What are the symptoms of eccentricity? At home, at work, anywhere. We use that word. He is eccentric, you know. It's quite straightforward. What do you mean by that? Think.
It's the use
Incidentally,
of,
it applies to all of us. All
See-
these. Just study yourself. What's the big deal?
it's the use of intellect versus use of mind in our decisions, in our actions.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then can you define an eccentric person? What are his or her symptoms?
We use them 50-50. Intellect versus
Again, you're
mind.
describing what is that. I am asking, can you give examples from day-to-day life and define the eccentric behavior?
So I've been called
Yeah.
eccentric at my job, and I just call it like very passionate. Like there's a lot of emotion behind what I'm doing. Like, and so I'm passionate. I might do too much or go a little extra, but that's me being eccentric.
No. Being passionate is you have to have passion. I mean, if you're passionless, then how can you do a job? Eccentric is totally different. See, when you
Agitated mind.
sorry,
Agitated mind. Mind is agitated.
correct, mind is agitated, but then what are the symptoms of
Then
eccentricity?
argument, fight.
Yeah, okay, that is an emotional person also.
Yeah.
All the time,
Unreasonable.
unreasonable, unpredictable behavior.
Yeah.
You can't. You don't know. I mean, there is no consistency in that person. Morning he may come, let's say in office, let's do this for this particular project. By lunchtime, the person has taken diametrically opposite view. So even at home, there is no consistency in his or her behavior. That is eccentricity. So highly emotionally charged, there is no consistency, there is no thinking, there is no logic and reason in whatever he or she is doing. The mood swings. That is another example. A morning person could be happy. You may get up as happy person. By breakfast time, it's a disaster. Again, by lunchtime, you're okay. Again, you come home, you're in a different mood. You can see a range of emotions. I don't know, 5, 6, 10 different emotions in a matter of few hours sometimes. So it's unpredictable behavior. Eccentric. I thought it was quite simple, like eccentricity. And then hysterical, we all understand when mind completely takes over, almost, that extreme grief, extreme excitement, hysteria. This soccer match is going on, just watch. You will understand what is being, you will understand eccentricity, you will understand hysterical, also you will understand emotion, everything you will understand. Even insanity will understand. Actually, it's insanity. 20-30% definitely are insane, you know. So that will be a good example. And to the extent you lose your intellect, to that extent you are insane. Otherwise, you know, somebody, it doesn't apply to me. No, it applies to all of us. Can you give me an example? To the extent you are not using your intellect, the definition of insanity is what? When intellect is not available. None of us are in mental asylum. That is for sure. Yes or no? At least that much we understand. My guru may not agree with this, but at least we have to comfort each other. So none of us are in a mental asylum. But then explain, to the extent you lose your mind, to that extent you are insane. When you say insane, meaning at that time your intellect is not available at all. 0%. That is definition of insanity. So can you give an example? You can give 2, 3, 4 examples of this. There are plenty. You just study
Alcoholic.
yourself. I mean, what's the difficulty?
Alcoholic person.
No, that is too far. I mean, you and I are also insane. Why point a finger at another person? So therefore, I keep on saying, just study yourself. What's the big deal? Still you're pointing finger at an alcoholic, this and all. Okay, it's not a wrong example. But what I'm trying to prove is you're also insane.
When
There are
the,
phases of your life, there are stages of your life, there are parts of your life where you are absolutely insane person.
when the children are showing the tantrum, and you know, but still you give up there and just do whatever they want to do.
Again, you're pointing finger at somebody else.
Oh,
we say when you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. You continue to do the same thing, expecting something different to come out of it. So
Okay, I mean, now you're talking. At least some discussion is happening now.
now when you are diabetic, and you keep eating, just eating, don't think that what result will be, what will happen or anything. Just impulsive eating.
Correct. All that is correct. It's already given in the book. I want examples from day-to-day life. When you throw a tantrum, I mean, what's the big deal? Why? Wait. Wife is talking, no? It's a cardinal mistake, sin you are committing. When wife is here, she is like, educating us. When wife is talking, you should not open your mouth. When wife is educating, your tail must be in between your legs. That is a recipe for happy marriage. Applies for all the husbands. Yes, ma'am. When you throw tantrums, why child? When you throw tantrum, what happens? Whatever happens, let's not be so graphic now. Arguments and screaming and crying. Somebody is crying, somebody is laughing, somebody could be, I don't know. Whatever happens. So at that moment, when you fight, when you have argument with your partner, is it not absolute insanity? Nobody has fought with a partner. I don't know what examples to give. I mean, everybody is, I don't know, Shankaracharya or
or even
Petruchio.
when you fight with an adult child because your emotions are too high and your emotions overrun your intellect.
You're insane.
Yes.
Why camouflage that? At that moment,
At that
mark
moment.
my words carefully, at that moment, it's not that you are insane, 100% insane, but at that moment, there is no intellect available at all. It may happen in a workplace.
Mhm.
Meeting, you find suddenly, like, somebody flies into a rage. At that moment, that person is insane. He or she is not having his intellect.
Or like road rage.
The way you manage your finances could be the decision you take. There are so many people who have lost money. They trade, they gamble, and they have lost money. So at that moment, in that particular, when they take that decision under the influence of the mind, it's absolute insanity. You may buy a property which is beyond your capacity. You're not able to decide what is my income. Should I really go for bigger property? So at that moment, you are completely under the influence of what? The mind.
Mind.
So is it not insanity? Why it is insanity? What is the definition of insanity? When your intellect is not available, 100% not available. So therefore, I'm saying there are portions of our own life, the phases of your own life, when your intellect is not available at all. So therefore, like my guru says, everybody is insane. It's a matter of more or less. And how you interact with your children, how you relate to your children, is 101% insanity. It's not 100%. It's 101% insanity. So only thing is you should be able to understand what it means. So any time you become impulsive, you become emotional, and when your intellect is not able to supervise your impulses or emotions, you get into trouble in life. That's the practical aspect of it. And like somebody pointed out, your agitations increase. If you are at A, sane person is calm and composed at all times. So to the extent you become emotional, eccentric, hysterical, your agitations, they start going up and up. You become more mentally disturbed person. And what that means, the quality of your life goes down. Mental agitations means what? What is the highest quality when you are absolutely calm and composed? It's not that we are not calm and composed. I mean, good many times we are. So what is the quality of your life that time? It feels nice. Isn't it? It's like being healthy. All the limbs are functioning perfectly. You go to the gym, you can lift whatever you want, 20 pound, 30 pound bars you can do, you can stretch. But when some injury happens, could be anything. You have frozen shoulder, or you sprain your ankle, or whatever. There is some knee trouble, knee pain. So is not the quality of your life affected? I'm talking about like health. It's affected. Exactly same thing is happening at a mental level, which we don't understand. And we use fashionable terms like mental wellness and all that. I'm not saying the term is wrong. What is that mental wellness, or what is that lack of mental wellness? Physical wellness, we understand. What is mental wellness? What is lack of mental wellness? When you're not peaceful, when your mind is disturbed, your mind is agitated. When are you disturbed? When are you agitated? When your intellect is not supervising your mind. So the quality of your life goes down as you start moving from A to B to C to D to E. And that's what author is saying, Swamiji is saying. Most people are between B and C. Most people. By and large, they are between B and C. So at least what? 40% of your quality of your life is gone. Do you get the practical application? That means 40% of the time you are mentally agitated. It's a question of more or less. Now, who wants to live that kind of a life? So therefore, I'm giving example at physical level. Imagine 40% of the time your body is not cooperating. What kind of a life it will be? Physical level, we all understand that. It's quite simple. Exactly same thing is happening at mental level, which we don't understand. It's not that easy to understand. So therefore, this chart is extremely, extremely important, very practical to find out where you are. And as a human being, we have a capacity to correct ourselves. So that's the main point. So agitations we discussed. Another practical application is your productivity drops in your day-to-day life, in your work. How can a mentally agitated person be productive in his or her work? person who is less disturbed, he leads. It's not that he is not agitated. If there are like 100 people, who becomes the CEO? Who has that capacity to be relatively calm and composed, who is not impulsive, who is not emotional? Most people, they can't. So it's a typical leadership material. To lead in any aspect of life. At home, you're a leader. In your workplace, you're a leader. So who can be a good leader? Whose emotions and impulses are under control. So therefore, such a person becomes objective, relatively speaking. So your productivity drops when you are mentally agitated. What can be done in 2 hours takes you 4 hours to do, or it may take 6 hours to do. Any project goes beyond deadline. Correct me if I am wrong. It doesn't matter. You give them 6 months, it will not happen. You give them 6 years, it will not happen. You give them 100 years, I'm magnifying, it will not happen. So the agitations are full of agitation. So how can you be productive? How can you think clearly? How can you take sound decisions? And another practical implication of that is you need weekends and vacations. It is a tremendous loss of productivity if you understand it that way. My guru, he turned 100 just last week, few weeks back on June 8th, right? Till 94, he was extremely active. In fact, at the age of 94, he gave a lecture in Manhattan, New York. After that, COVID hit. It's not that he became inactive. Even now he is on the bed. He has lost sensation in his feet. Every day there is a stream of visitors. And this is what he has taught us. No weekends and vacations. So that's the model we all follow. The Vedanta Academy, you all know. So it's the course for youngsters in the age group of 18 to 30. I spent 7 years there. 365 days in a year we work. There is no weekend off, there is no vacation, there is nothing. So why do you need a weekend? Why do you need a vacation? We're not saying you should not. I mean, you will collapse. If there's a pain, you have to take morphine. So if you're mentally agitated, you need a break. So we can't copy these great masters, but that is our potential. So if you look at it from practical angle, what a loss of productivity. A good portion of your life is gone. How many Saturday, Sundays are there in a year? Roughly
52.
52 days lost.
104.
104 total, 104 Saturday, Sundays in a year.
Days.
You get, okay. In 10 years, how many? 1000 for calculation. In 20 years? In 30 years? You are an engineer, do whatever. 5,000 must be more. 5,000, right, Raji? 5,000. So 5,000 days are lost. I mean, how many years that is?
5 years. 5 years.
7 years.
12 years. It's 360 days. Is it?
Yeah, 365. No, 5,000 divided by 365. Now use calculator.
12 to 13 years.
12 to 13 years lost. That is the lifespan of an average dog. Isn't it? What a loss. What a loss. See, therefore, I mean, I had discussed this example. We often give example of the great saint from India, Adi Shankaracharya. I mean, he died at the age of 32. He lived 1,200 years back. So during his time, practically the entire nation, these values were lost to a good extent. They cannot be lost completely. Blind faith, mechanical, ritual, superstitious beliefs, had overpowered the masses. Single-handedly, almost single-handedly, he corrected the course of the nation. He was an institution builder. He was an author. was a powerful orator. You can go on adding 10 more things. So how could he do that in a span of 32 years? If you look at even Swami Parthasarathi example, those who know, I mean, it's an extraordinary achievement. One man, he started the institution. One man must have trained 1,000+ students. He has written 12 books, traveled all over the world. 15 countries he used to travel for 40, 50 years. Public lectures and retreats. I mean, you put all that together. 10,000, 100,000 of us cannot do that. It's a fact. They are also human beings. It's not that they came from some special place or they're extraterrestrial. They're just like you and me. So that's what Swami Ram Tirtha, he tries to motivate all of us. He talks about himself. He says, if one person can do it, so can you. He's talking about himself. He was a very frail person as a youngster till he was 15, 16, 17. But then he transformed his life. He also lived hardly for 30, 32 years. He says, if one person can do it, so can you. So it sounds very, I don't know, high sounding statement. So we are trying to reduce it to this chart. So what is it? What is it which they have, which we don't have? That's my point. What is it that they have? Therefore, they have all the energy, all the stamina in the world, which we don't have. It's not we don't have it at all, but there is no comparison. So what is it that we have to change in our personality? Capacity is there. Looking at this chart.
The sanity.
Chart explains everything.
Okay.
They have sanity, 100% discriminative.
Meaning zero mental agitations. That is our capacity. Fine. Right now we may not have. But to the extent you move towards that, towards A, to that extent you will have all the productivity in the world. Doesn't matter what you are doing. We don't have to copy anybody. Each one is different. But you can continue working for 70, 80, 90, 100 years. That's what that prayer in Upanishad says. Somebody had asked this question, may we live for 100 years, it says, with dynamic action. Where is that and what is this? It has become fashionable to say, I work only 2 or 3 days in a week. What do you do rest of the time? What do you do rest of the time? It's become very fashionable. I work only 3 times in a week. I'm not saying you should not. You could be doing something highly productive when you don't work, but mostly it's not. So why can't you work 7 days a week? See, this is how you must start applying this. Our Balaji, a very sweet guy. I don't know how many of you know. I mean, one of the most purest person I have come across in my life. I mean, he used to attend our classes. I think he got enough knowledge now, but still he's with us. When I go to India, we have a small property in West Bloomfield, so he takes care of that property. He comes, he checks mail, makes sure that I haven't left any tap on, drives my car and keeps it warm and all that. Very, very devoted person. Amazing guy. You must meet him. So he was, I think yesterday or 2 days back. I hope he's not listening, but anyway, I'm praising him. And he is 57, 58. And suddenly he dropped a bombshell. He's saying, I'm almost done. I'm thinking of retiring now. And, I mean, Swamiji is 100. He hasn't retired at 57, 58. You want to retire? No, I mean, I want to reduce, 2 times, 3 times in a week, I want to work, I didn't say much. What can you say? I said, Balaji, I mean, you used to drop Swamiji to the airport. If not knowledge, at least that association is enough. So why do you want to retire? Whatever you're doing doesn't matter. So that's the practical implication of this. And then when your mind is agitated, it's quite simple. Your decisions can go wrong. They are going wrong because your mind is agitated. Simple examples you can take. How you relate to your children, how you manage your children, how you manage your relationships. From that to your work, how you manage your finances, So decisions which you make when your mind is agitated, when your intellect is not available, it's like impaired driving. Your decisions are impaired. Yeah. Please continue. Read till the end, the whole thing.
There is nothing wrong in possessing emotions, but to let them interfere with your intellectual judgment would be erroneous and detrimental. A weakness which has caused humans to suffer for ages. History has revealed how emotions have overpowered discretion and caused many heads to roll back. The renowned playwright William Shakespeare has demonstrated this fatal consequence in King Lear, Macbeth, Othello, and his other plays. Business executives are victims of this inherent weakness. They fall a prey to greed for more money, fame, and power, and are lost in professional jealousy, emotional attachment to the family, and a host of other self-corroding emotions. These emotions blur their discretion and judgment, while decisions falter to affect their management skills. A business person's managerial caliber therefore rests on the strength of the intellect and its application to business. His intellect must not allow any form of emotional involvement or attachment to interfere with his particular role in business. That would ruin his concentration and decision making. Concentration means the intellect controlling and directing the mind in every activity. Accordingly, an executive must focus on his present action to spell success and progress in his life. Thus, all management skills reduce to self-management, and self-management depends upon the development and use of the intellect. The way to develop, strengthen the intellect is by questioning everything and not taking anything for granted. That is to think independently, originally. Hardly anyone in the world questions the fundamentals. People the world over indiscriminately follow their predecessors and suffer the consequences thereof.
So this is how we started 3 weeks back. So any management boils down to what? Whether you're managing family, whether you're managing your work, A to Z.
Self-management.
Self-management. And what is that self-management?
Your intellect controlling the mind.
Your intellect controlling the mind. If your intellect is powerful, you can manage anything. You can manage the whole world. If your intellect is weak, you will mess up everything. First of all, you will mess up your relationship to begin with. You will mess up your relationship with your children also. Nothing wrong with anybody. Workplace, you will have issues. Your finances, you will have issues. Your own health, you will have issues. You will not be able to manage yourself. And this is what is happening to good many youngsters today. We can't make a blanket statement, but it's a common thing. Everybody is talking about mental wellness, can't manage emotions. So it boils down to what?
Self-management.
Your intellect is not able to manage your mind. And then he gives examples. He is referencing Shakespeare. So those who are familiar with Shakespeare, so Shakespeare highlights certain human traits. So he's an education. Macbeth, we know. So what brought about Macbeth's downfall was his greed for power, greed for money. There is nothing wrong in having a desire to earn money. I mean, you can be ambitious in life. Vedanta is not telling us you should not be ambitious. But if your mind takes over the intellect, then the problem starts. So that's what happened to Macbeth. He wanted power, he wanted money. And incidentally, he had everything. He was a general in the army, very successful general. But then he said, Why not become the king and get the maximum power, maximum money, the throne which did not belong to him? And then he assassinated his own benefactor, King Duncan, right? Yeah, King Duncan. And there are heaps of dead bodies, and he destroyed himself. Same thing happened to his wife, Lady Macbeth. In fact, she planted that thought. Behind Macbeth was Lady Macbeth. They say behind every great man there is a woman. Behind every monster also there could be another monster. You can't blame Lady Macbeth. If you don't have a desire in you, nobody can plant a desire in you. It's very easy to I have no desire for alcohol, but what to do? I went for a party and everybody forced me, therefore I drank. Nobody can make you drink. Veera? It's not applicable to you. Can anybody make Raji drink? Impossible. Radha? Impossible. Vijay, Veera, that is excuse. Is enough. Excuse also is not required. What to do, friends? Nobody can plant a thought in you, desire in you if you don't have that. So there is nothing wrong in being ambitious. See, this is what people will understand. This is what Rachel was saying, passionate. How can you not be passionate? A dull person cannot be successful. But your passion must be under the supervision of your intellect. That is all. So the moment you lose control, then ambition becomes greed or lust, Same thing for power. We can see all the time the kind of things people do to acquire power and to hang on to power. All over the world, we see it happening all the time. Then King Lear and Othello talks about how they messed up their relationship. That's the education there. He was a king. He was not an ordinary person. But he did not know how to relate to his own daughters. Absolute mess. Othello was married to the best woman, Desdemona. You cannot get a better woman as your partner than Desdemona. Very virtuous, devoted lady. And he killed her. He killed himself. And similarly, there's nothing wrong in having emotions. How can you not have emotions as a human being? But if you become emotional, problem starts. And there's a world of difference. So that again, stick to that parent and children example. How can you not have emotions towards your children? I mean, you're not turtles. You're human beings. Turtle just lays eggs and okay, bye-bye. So you're not turtles. You're human beings. So how can you not have emotions for your children? But when you become emotional, problem starts. So that's the story in every house. And when they grow 17, 18, 19, 20, they say bye-bye to you. It's not because they don't like you, but they cannot relate to you. So there is nothing wrong in having emotions. In fact, Vedanta, with this knowledge, you develop best of emotions, universal emotions, noble emotions, but they are under the suzerainty of your intellect. So you can go on applying this, how your decision is impaired. One example which I have written down and I've seen in many cases, family-owned businesses, they appoint their own sons and daughters when they don't have merit. If they have merit, why not? And the whole business comes crashing down. I mean, I've seen at least 10 such examples in my life. Just because he is my son, he is my daughter, does he have a merit? And another point he mentions is you cannot concentrate, which is part of productivity. It's quite simple. Due to agitations, you can't concentrate. What is concentration? You have to describe. Your intellect should be able to hold a mind on the present task. I am talking to you right now. So it needs tremendous concentration. Talking on this subject is not easy in the sense of concentration. In your own work, whatever you are doing, you need concentration. right? Especially if you're writing the code, your IT or whatever, it could be anything. But if your mind is agitated, you cannot think, you cannot concentrate, meaning your mind slips. Worries, anxiety. So it's nothing but agitations. So your concentration suffers. When concentration suffers, that action suffers. We can go on multiplying examples like this. I'm just throwing some ideas at you. So what we are going to do is we'll conclude for today. I'll give you some time before we conclude. But next week, there is going to be discussion session. Right in the beginning, I did mention that once in 6 or 7 weeks, we'll have discussion session. So there are 7 or 8 questions which I have identified from the chapter 1, and Radha will monitor that discussion next week. Just as we are having for Bhagavad Gita, similarly on next Sunday, we are having discussion session on chapter 1. So revise your concepts from chapter 1, read the book. You can refer to the class notes and try to participate as much as possible. Even if you just listen to the discussion, it is okay. And to get maximum out of this book, you have to participate in the discussion. This is not like Bhagavad Gita. I mean, in this book, I will say my role is not more than 50-60%. Bhagavad Gita, yes, my role is perhaps like 80-90%. But this book is different. Because like very practical, down to earth, So the more you participate in these discussions, like we keep on announcing Wednesdays we have and all that. So I'm not getting into the detail. But next week will be the discussion session. So any questions from what we discussed today?
Swamiji, we started the lecture with, with a lack of awareness of the intellect. Most of us not even aware there's an entity like intellect. And where does one start, number one, with, when it comes to our day-to-day life? Do I start with my mental agitations? Do I start, for self-assessment, lack of concentration? Do I start that I don't finish, most of my projects, and then how do I bring in that awareness of intellect? And then last is, what do I do about it?
No, awareness is there.
Okay.
Otherwise, I mean, you have been associated with this knowledge for a long time. So that lack of awareness does not apply to this group. Initially, yes, it applies, but now it does not apply. So where do you start? Is you have to start immediately, right now. Whatever decisions you are taking in life, day-to-day basis, the way you manage your clinic, the legal aspect of that, how you interact with patients. Then your personal life, your interaction with your children, your interaction with your spouse. So everything you have to think and do. That is application of intellect. Whatever is your capacity, it's not that you don't have that capacity. Intellect is there. It may be 20%, 30% developed, and you're with this knowledge for a long time. So you're putting efforts through study and reflection. But every aspect of your life you have to question. Like somebody invites you, okay, should we go, I don't know, to Mackinac Island? I'm giving you like mundane example. Like, 20 of us have booked the hotel. What is that famous hotel there? Mackinac Island. Very expensive.
Grand Hotel.
Grand Hotel. 30 of us have gathered there and, there's a party, this and that. I'm not saying you should not go. Question. Should I go? If it makes sense to you, you go. If it doesn't make sense to you, why do you want to go and waste your time? Is it going to interfere with my life's mission? Is it going to interfere with my career, first of all? So therefore, I give example. 7 days a week if you work, where is the time? And incidentally, the whole world will be benefited in your case. You're a doctor, you know? So like that, you have to question everything. How much of time I should spend with my children, you know, my grandchildren. It can't be no, but how much? How do I manage my finances? What do I do after I'm gone with my finances? You know, I mean, you have to think on all these things. So every aspect of your life, you start thinking, analyzing. Nothing is excluded. What is deviating me from my spiritual path? You must question if this particular action is it deviating, you know? So everything you need to question. So you have to start right now. It doesn't matter. Ideally, intellect should be developed when we are 16, 17, but if you're not exposed to this knowledge, then what to do? That doesn't mean you have lost anything. Yes, you lost whatever time you lost. Still, there is a long way to go. You're like a youngster. I keep telling Uncle Mohe, you know, I mean, he's 78 to look at, but actually he's 27. You don't know him. His energy,
तुम पहले घर के काम खत्म करो, ये
dynamism.
करके तुम नहाओगे, इसके बाद ये भिंड
So are you okay, Uncle?
Yeah, you know, I think you briefly touched upon that in your this hour. That with your spouse, when both of them are thinking, that the other guy is not using the intellect, I'm the only one who's using the intellect, and then they butt heads and go at each other. How do you, what do you do in that? I mean, you touched upon that you just stay quiet.
No. If is excellent relationship, then intellect will not develop. If there is a challenge, then only it will develop. So it's good. It is a blessing, literally. It's a blessing in disguise, you know.
Yeah.
So God has given you, I'm not being personal. God has given you, I don't know, a shrew so that you can, Desdemona, and then no value.
Thank you.
Amit ji, real quick question.
Who is the questioner?
Yes, sir. Here, sir. Namaste, Amit ji.
Oh,
So
Gitu.
real-
Hi, Gitu.
Hi. So just like intellect means wisdom, right? Is what I'm getting, right?
It is one and same. When you have powerful intellect, you are wise.
Okay.
You are able to apply this knowledge in your day-to-day life. Whatever
Okay,
we are
means-
learning right now is just knowledge, it's information, though it is knowledge of the scriptures. But
Okay.
that does not mean you have the capacity to apply that knowledge in your day-to-day life. Why you're not able to apply in your day-to-day life? Because your intellect is not developed. You can't say you don't know, you know, definitely, but you can't apply. So you don't have wisdom to apply.
Wisdom. Matlab in Hindi, if you call it, it's called buddhi. Matlab there is a person who is intelligent. क्या बोलेंगे उसको, like intelligent, right? But उसको बुद्धि नहीं, like he doesn't has the wisdom, like that. So like you can say you're intelligent, but you don't have the wisdom. That's what you're trying to understand, right?
Correct. So wisdom means intellect. And that's synonyms.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Namaste.
So are we okay? Okay, great. So have a wonderful weekend. See you soon.
Thank you, Amiji.
Thank you. Amit ji.
Thank you, Amit ji.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amit ji.
Bye.
Amiji.